I know houseplant trends are ever changing and I love watching houseplant tour videos. I thought it would be an interesting idea to get an idea of what it would look like for someone to do a houseplant tour in the 80s, what that would look like. If you're new here, my name is Leah and I love plants, and I have spent hours researching what houseplants were trending in the 80s. I am excited to share what I've found, and I also found this amazing houseplant book with the cutest pictures. It's from 1988. I found it on Amazon for $6, so happy about that. It has the cutest pictures, lots of plant styling tips and tricks for the decade, and I would love to do a video diving into this book and all of the plant tips and tricks that it provides. I find that very interesting. Now picture this. You step into an 80s plant lover's living room. First thing you notice is the earthy, damp smell of moist potting mixed soil mixed with the faint sweetness of tropical plants. Your eyes are immediately drawn to the large leafy Monstera deliciosa and rubber plants dominating the living room, their glossy leaves catching the sunlight streaming through the wood-paneled windows. Macrame plant hangers sway gently in the breeze from the open window, holding trailing pothos and spider plants that cascade down like waterfalls. The soft hum of a ceiling fan mingles with faint 80s synth music playing from a nearby radio, giving the room a calm, nostalgic rhythm. As you walk further in, your fingers brush the coarse texture of wicker furniture, paired with soft, plush cushions in shades of mustard and brown. You feel the warmth of the space, not just from the sunlight, but from the lived-in, cozy vibe of this retro indoor jungle. 80s interior design was bold and eclectic, which influenced the trend of houseplants by a desire to want to bring houseplants indoors, to bring a jungle indoors. People wanted the indoor jungle vibe, which I totally get. This has been a goal of mine since even before I was into plants, like living plants. I was obsessed with fake plants. Like, I wanted to do whatever it took just to have a jungle vibe in my office when I started working from home. And to me at the time, that meant indoor plant, or that meant fake plants, because I did not know how to take care of plants. But look at me now. Look at how far we've come. Dramatic maximalism is a word that I saw used to describe the trends of that time. So, what plants did they use to get this jungle vibe? According to my research, the first thing I noticed was mentioned a lot was cacti and succulents. They loved the low maintenance aspect of these plants, and they were typically styled in bold colored pots throughout the home. Another one is peace lilies, and I do still see these around, but have never actually owned one. I kind of think of them as like a funeral plant because just all the funerals I've been to, there's lots of peace lilies, okay? It is what it is. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but they're there. You can't deny that. Now, this one did not surprise me. Monstera deliciosa. I guess it did more so to surprise me that it was popular still back then. Like, I kind of thought it was a newer trend that people were just discovering, but no, people have loved their monsteras for a really long time, including the 70s as well, which I'd love to do a video on the 70s. But yes, people love their monsteras. I don't see any mention of the variegated varieties of monsteras, so that's interesting. I don't know if they just weren't discovered yet, or they just weren't around, or they were too expensive for people to own in their everyday homes. But yeah, no mention of variegated monsteras. Another super popular plant that every article was recommending is spider plants. And the biggest emphasis I saw on spider plants was how fun and exciting it is that they make lots of little babies, lots of little pups at all times. All the articles are just saying how awesome and exciting that is. Personally, when I owned a few spider plants, I found it a little annoying. I didn't need a million baby spider plants. I wanted two, and now I have none. So whatever that tells you about that. But I can definitely see the spider plant kind of fitting in with the 80s vibe. So I did find that interesting. And I do think they're a great plant. They are very fun and very cute. Okay, next is the Boston fern. My grandma actually has one of these in her bathroom, or she used to. I don't know if she still does, But I just have my memories of this plant are just sitting on the toilet, staring up and looking at realizing how crispy it is and wondering why my grandma isn't watering it. And what I know now about ferns is if you don't water it for one day, they're going to crisp up and look like you haven't watered them for years. So I don't blame my grandma at all for having a crispy fern, but that's just what I remember as a kid growing up, sitting on the toilet and staring at that fern in a macrame holder and just admiring the crispy leaves. Okay. Another plant that I don't have, but I do see around a lot today is rubber trees or rubber plants, also known as like a ficus. I see these all over social media. I think they're beautiful. I actually just told my friend who owns a vintage shop that she should add one to her shop. And especially considering the fact that plants were more so used in the 80s as statement pieces and to be a filler for empty spaces in their home, it makes sense to me that another tree would be on this list of trending 80s houseplants. Another plant you might see in an 80s living room is bonsai trees, and I do feel like bonsai trees are a very niche plant. Not everyone, like, just because you're into houseplants doesn't mean you know anything about bonsai trees, and I also feel as though they require a lot of care. They are more so high maintenance. I mean, I don't know anything about them, so I could be totally wrong. They could be the easiest plant to take care of ever, but just from my perception, they seem more high maintenance, but they are quite the statement. And whenever I go to a plant shop and they have bonsai trees, I'm just mesmerized, amazed. I think they're so cool. I would love to get into one. My dad always tells me that he wants me to get into bonsai trees because his dad was really into bonsai trees. So, kind of nostalgic, makes sense for the time, but I don't really see them around in people's personal collection too often. Another plant you might see is the Chinese evergreen, which, as I'm filming this, I realize I'm not totally sure what that plant looks like. So, one sec. Was it in Aglaonema? Okay. So the Chinese evergreen is also known as Aglaonemas, and these plants are really pretty and stunning. They have stunning foliage, very contrasty, variegated. They also have multiple different kinds of colors, like some looks like have pink. I don't own any, and I hear they're very high maintenance. So I'm actually surprised that this is on the list because everyone is saying like low maintenance plants were the trend of the 80s. But yeah, there you go, Chinese evergreen. ZZ plants, definitely still around today. If you Google easy plants for beginners or low maintenance plants, you'll always have a ZZ plant as a result. I don't know how low maintenance they are because I currently have one rehabbing from the whole root system rotting because I wasn't taking care of it properly. So I don't kill a lot of plants. So I don't know if that makes it more high maintenance or maybe just not for me in my environment that I can provide in my home. It wasn't in here, it was upstairs in our office, but interesting. And I can see why these would be popular for the 80s, again, because of them being low maintenance. Another plant you might see is African violets, and I don't see too many people talking about these nowadays, but I do see them in all the big box plant stores. You can buy them, they are pretty easily accessible. But a big thing that I noticed with the 80s, and even especially like in this book, is there's a huge emphasis on flowering plants, which you don't really see as much today. The only real flowering plants that I see mentioned frequently is, what is it? I'm losing my train of thought. Put it down. Would be Hoyas and orchids. Those seem to be kind of only the only flowering plants I really see people have and share on social media. So it does make sense for the time that you would want a low maintenance flowering plant, and they are really pretty, and I do actually want one. I just haven't gotten around to adding one to my collection, but again, another plant for the 80s. Okay, another one that I thought was pretty cool that was trending back then is fiddle leaf figs. You know that people love their fiddle leaf figs if they know how to take care of them. This is a high maintenance plant, so I am again kind of surprised that they're on this list, but anyways. Okay, the next one is palms. I love palms. This is one of those that I don't see around very often now, but I think they deserve a comeback. I think they deserve another moment. I don't have space for one, but if you do, get a palm. And they still sell them at Lowe's. I just saw some the other day, I'm pretty sure. Like, they have them. So, if you have space, maybe get a palm for some 80s nostalgia. As far as styling these plants goes, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't really understand home decor. I'm not a home decor girly, which that's fine, but it said that they would typically be styled in like gold pots or pastel colors, anything to continue to add to the aspect of them being a statement piece, fitting with the aesthetic of 80s maximum, what was the term, dramatic maximalism. Yes, so gold and pastel colors for those pots, and they were typically plastic as well. Overall, the indoor plant trends of the 1980s were characterized by a desire for low maintenance plants and plants with bold patterns or shapes, such as the Aglaonema. While the popularity of houseplants declines a bit during this decade, many of the plant varieties that were popular in the 80s continue to be popular to this day. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you were surprised by any of these trending plants for the 80s, or if you weren't surprised, if you already knew everything there is to know about plants in the 80s. Let me know. If you like this video, you're gonna love this one. I think it's over here. I did it wrong last time. You're gonna love this video where I go over all of my tips for ensuring your propagations, your pesky propagations, do not rot when you pot them up. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.